Thank you, Provost Gadesi and President Williams. It's an enormous honor to be here. Good morning, everyone. On behalf of all of us students, thank you to RISD's faculty and staff for all your tireless work. Thank you to the City of Providence for embracing us as members of your community and giving us a beautiful place to create. Lastly, thank you to our families, those present and those not, who got us here today. This celebration is as much for you as it is for us. Okay. As some of you surely remember, this spring on April 8th, we, in a narrow band stretching from Texas to Vermont, experienced a rare and extraordinary planetary event, a total solar eclipse. Before its occurrence, admittedly, I wasn't all that interested in the eclipse. I'm not much of a scientist, and when my friends told me another wouldn't happen for 20 years, I felt no urgency or longing. It was just something that would eventually happen again and that some people would enjoy. However, on a whim, and unbeknownst to my professor, who I would later learn was headed to Maine for his own eclipse viewing, I skipped class, got in the car with a friend, and started towards the zone of totality. Still mostly unsold on the idea of the eclipse, I wrote emails in the car, did readings for a class, and took a nap. The drive, though, ended up being somewhat of an ordeal. We hit really heavy traffic, so with only a minute to spare, at 3:26, somewhere in upstate Vermont, we pulled off on the side of I-89, ran up the berm with our glasses, and looked up to see the event. And then, all of a sudden, the sky dimmed into a panoramic sunset, a diamond flare appeared on the rim of the moon, and then the eclipse. The ring of the sun was otherworldly, an impossible marvel unlike anything I'd ever seen before. And for a brief moment, everyone on our stretch of the highway was in awe of this beautiful thing. Driving back, listening to an impassioned speech from my NASA-inclined friend in the driver's seat, I learned just how cosmically rare and profoundly unlikely this eclipse was. Now, stay with me while I do some math. The moon is approximately 385,000 kilometers from the Earth. The sun is just over 400 times as far. The moon is about 3,475 kilometers in diameter. The sun is 400 times as large. As a result, the moon, small but mighty and perfectly placed, is able to cover the sun. And get this, the moon's orbital path is slowly getting wider, meaning that eventually the sun and the moon will fall out of alignment. And so at some point, someone on Earth will see the last solar eclipse. That such size relationships exist among two celestial bodies is already spectacular. But that their orbital paths are similar enough in relationship to our Earth at this very point in time when we are alive is divine. This confluence, rare and beautiful and generative, is, as I see it, much like our experience here at RISD. We are here in just the right place at just the right time, even if we may not realize it. I have often lost sight of days and months, forgetting to stop and cherish things. I'll say I'm too busy to go to the lecture at Metcalf, skip out on grad exchange in favor of working a little longer on my studio project, or I'll go home early to sleep instead of staying for that extra drink at the Wild Colonial. But somewhere in the last year, I realized just how extraordinary RISD experiences are, and I started to wring every last drop out of my remaining time here. We've all taken circuitous, global, and infinitely complex paths to get here, arriving at this small school in the smallest state. And there's so much beauty in our diverse interests. And from that diversity, magical, unexpected moments and inventions happen. When you meet someone from a different department, from a different part of the world, whose art inspires you, and with whom you create a profound collaboration. So, could it be that RISD is its own zone of totality? One where a whole other kind of significant connection occurs. Much like the eclipse, though, our totality is brief. The late author Marina Keegan wrote about her own college years, "Everything is so beautiful and so short." Nothing could be more true of these few precious years during which we find ourselves home in Providence. Lucky for us, though, and like the eclipse, the memory and significance of RISD will last forever. These years will always be the RISD years. We may leave Providence, but we will always have the creativity of RISD in our DNA. That said, I sometimes feel, as perhaps some of you do, that I lack something as an artist. I look around at other creators and wonder if my work lives up to the standards set forth by my peers. I question if my work communicates enough or if I really have something to say. But if I learned anything from driving nearly 9 hours to see just 30 seconds of the moon covering the sun, it is this: that one of the most powerful things art and design can do, whether big or small, brilliant or banal, is bring people together. I've been hard-pressed to imagine anything besides the eclipse that would bring people of all ages, some who had never even been interested in the phases of the moon, to travel hundreds of miles to one of the many sold-out roadside motels in America, together in awe. Something about seeing something so beautiful, complicated, rare, unexpected, unlikely, leads us to transcend boundaries. Art, design, and our creations can do the same. When we witness art, we come together. It is for and belongs to everyone. And just how beauty was born from simply two orbs aligning, art can come from anything and out of nowhere. It can make us feel hopeful, intrigued, confused, joyful. It reminds us of our humanity in the times when we feel most overwhelmed by our own struggles and least hopeful about the state of the world. It's in taking time to notice these rare and incredible things that reveals the beautiful and the divine. And ultimately, that helps us go on. Now, our task going forward is to continue what we've begun here at RISD, this cosmically special thing that we're a part of, and to make it last forever. So congratulations to the class of 2024. We did it.